Have you ever, hi, one, two, three. Have you ever had someone make this comment to you? One, two, three. Have you ever had someone make this comment to you? You used to be so driven. And the way it sounds, at least to me, when someone makes that comment, is it sounds more like an accusation. I don't know about you, but I feel like as women who are over 40 or women between 45 and 60, we tend to get that question. And today I really want to talk about that. Hi, my name is Janet, and welcome to the Second Collective. If you're new here, this is a place for women who are over 45, and we talk about all things to do with womanhood. So, welcome. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. But we want to just dive deep into this ambition, where women of a certain age, women of our age, we tend to seem, and sometimes we feel like we've lost our ambition. So maybe the things that we used to do, we no longer do. The things that we used to sign up for, we have no energy for them. There's just this, I don't know, withdrawal that we tend to do. And I believe it's also because of where we are, the stage of life where we are. And a lot of people don't understand this. Your friends may not understand it. Your spouse may not understand this. Your work acquaintance may not understand this. And so people ask this kind of question, like, you used to be driven, you used to have ambition, because they see that there's kind of some withdrawal that is happening with you, that you're kind of withdrawing from a lot of things that you probably used to participate in and used to be so happy about. Maybe you used to volunteer for things and you just stopped volunteering. So people notice the fact that you stopped. And therefore they make this kind of comments. And the way I'm talking about this is it comes out of is an accusation a lot of times, because you realize, at least for me, when I've had that question, when people have said to me, oh, what happened to your goals? What happened? You used to have so much drive when we were younger, in your 30s. There's almost like an accusation that I stopped being what they expected me to be, that I have disappointed them because I no longer have the vision or the goals or whatever it is that they looked up to me to provide for them. And it's a very interesting dynamics, because you don't realize that people can actually latch on to your own dreams and visions and kind of sometimes live through your experiences as if they're theirs. Or maybe you have become the linchpin that is holding them together. And how somehow when you stop having the vision, when you look like you don't have the goals, when you look like you're not pursuing these things, it affects their lives. And because it does, there's some, like maybe anger towards you, that you're no longer who you used to be. So what people don't understand, I believe, for what's going on with us, and even us ourselves, we have to wrestle with this. You and I, as women who are over 45, we have to wrestle with this, because you do sense, and this is my experience, what I went through, that I didn't have the ambition for the things that I used to be very ambitious about. The goals that I used to love and want to was pursuing, they just all of a sudden, I feel like once I turned 46, kind of started not meaning as much. Like I had just evolved and I was this different person. And it's a scary thing, because it's happening to us and we don't understand what's happening. Right? It's not like there's a manual that you're told that this will happen to you once you hit your mid 40s. But you just realize that things that used to matter to you, they don't matter anymore. And people, especially the family, family and close friends, they might not understand this change, because now they think that you don't have the goals, you don't have the vision. But really what has happened is your goals are different. You have changed, you have evolved. So you might not be pursuing the same goals like you used to when you were 20 or 30, right? Because a lot of times at that time, and let me just say this, we are in a culture, if you're in a Western culture especially, we're in a culture that rewards ambition, that really champions ambition, that is, go-getter, and your worth is tied to what you're doing. Your worth is tied to how much money you've made. Your worth is tied to who you are if you're in a corporate setting, all these dynamics that are happening in our society. So when you stop pursuing those things, maybe you're not going after the promotion, maybe you don't want the business that you built anymore, maybe when you want something different, people have a very hard time understanding that. People have a very hard time even accepting you or this new version of yourself that, my goals, yeah, they have changed. Doesn't mean I don't have goals. Doesn't mean I don't have ambition. It just doesn't look like it did when I was 30. It just doesn't look like it did when I was 20. Because at that stage of my life or your life, you were in a lot of times in survival mode. You were trying to survive. You were trying to make it work, to build a business, to build a career, to build a family. And now in your midlife, in your mid 40s or late 40s, going to 50s and 60s, you just might want peace and rest, right? So I'm not after the things I used to be back when I was younger. In those things, it doesn't mean I don't want the money. I don't want the purpose of having, something that I'm doing that is impactful. No, it just means it looks different. It just means the way I'm doing things now at this age is going to be different, because a lot of times we are tired. We are like exhausted from having been in that survival mode for so many years, having worked so hard, having built so much, having done this and this. You are just tired. And you have, I'm a mom of 3, and you have gone through things, giving birth to children, raising kids, all this stuff that happens to us, and all the other women things that happen to women that is not talked about, right? So you've gone all this you've gone through these things, and you're just at a place where you just want peace. And success looks different. Success looks different to me. Ambition just is different. And yeah, I think it's not that you don't have ambition, it's just that you're very clear. You got clear about the things that matter to you. And I think that's what happened to me. I felt like I gotten very clear about what I want. I gotten very clear about how I want to live my life from now on. So there's a lot of clarity, but that clarity comes with a cost, right? You have spent decades chasing things, and you look at your life and you think, I don't want this anymore. It didn't deliver the things that I thought, that the fulfillment, the satisfaction. Oh, I can't even say the word. You're no longer satisfied with what maybe you have done in the past. And the cost is that, yeah, the cost of being clear sometimes, that you do lose friends. But also, when you're looking for clarity, you I don't know, there is a cost in that area too for yourself, in that the things that you thought would bring you the happiness, they don't. The achievements, they don't mean as much. There's emptiness. So there was a cost even in us building the lives that we have. And once we are starting to get clear about things, there's a cost in us, then people misunderstanding us, or we ourselves getting confused, not knowing what exactly is happening to us. And this is why I am talking about this, because I like to talk about what we go through as women, and how do we move forward? How do you go through this transition when all these things are happening? When you feel like, the game that you've been playing for years and years and years, this corporate ladder you've been climbing, this business that you've been building, that somehow you're like, this system is rigged. There's no having it all. There's just working hard and being miserable. And I'm not saying that my life was miserable, but I'm just saying, you look back, and this is from also talking to other women, is that we are so caught up in the survival mode. We're so caught up in achieving things. We are so busy that we do not have the time to look at our lives and say, is this really what I want? And so you have climbed that ladder, you have gone as high as you can, you have done all the things, yet there's still an emptiness that you feel. There's still at this age and you feel invisible. And we are going to talk about feeling invisible because that's a topic on its own, a whole video on its own. But there are all these things that you're going through. You're also sometimes at this stage, in your late 40s, you're starting to have the premenopausal stuff. So there's all the health issues that you're starting to deal with. And you just, your body is telling you that we can't continue this way. And you cannot keep ignoring your body because you need the body to live here on earth. So anyway, there are a lot of things, and you just come to the place where you can't push through, where you're like, I cannot take this anymore, and things have to change, right? And what we are not taught as we're growing up, and this is something that I've been kind of having discussions with my daughter as well, as she's getting ready to go to college, is there's a shift that happens in us, and nobody prepares you for how you start to feel in your late 40s. And some people start early, but for me it was just when I turned 46. I feel like 45, 46 stuff just started. I don't know, there was a whole like shift that happened within me. And you are not taught, right, that what happens after you've lived through the survival mode, the building, the whatever stage of life that you've gone through, and now you're in your 40s, and there is just something different. You feel different. There's a quiet thing going on in you, a turning over, a looking around and thinking, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Is this how I want my life to look? And it doesn't necessarily mean your life is horrible. Like, my life has been a blessing. I've been blessed by God and very grateful. So it's not coming from a place of being ungrateful. It's a place of like, you are maturing, you are evolving, you are in a place where you're getting very clear about the things you desire, the things you want, what matters to you, your values, and how do that, what does that look like in your life? So I think this is the shifts that happens. It is happening in us women as we're getting to these late 40s into 50s. It's happening to us, and we're not talking about it, right? I haven't lost my ambition. I'm just different. I just value something else that's different than what I used to value. Just because I was chasing money in my 20s and chasing, growing, getting up the corporate ladder and building a business and all that, it does not mean now in my late 40s where I'm building a different kind of business. It doesn't mean I've lost ambition. It just honestly looks different. So people looking at you, of course, there's judgment. That is why these comments like, oh, you used to be so driven, you used to be so ambitious, what happened to you? And usually they're not even saying what happened to you, but it's there. That comment, what happened to you, the question, what happened to you, is there in those statements when people make those kind of statements at you, because they are judging you. They are wondering why you're not pushing harder, why you're not being as productive as you used to be, why you are, because the version of you that they know and that probably love and desire or want you to continue was the power through, was the I'm going to work hard and achieve this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And a lot of people benefit from that. They benefit from you being the one who is capable. They benefit from you being the one who's ambitious with a vision. And a lot of people benefit from it. And once you stop, as far as they're concerned, you stop being that for them, again, people can get angry. And there's a lot of judgment, right? There's judgment even in careers where people work in corporates where they're like, well, they're midlife and they're just useless. You have that from the younger people in a company making comments about people in their midlife. There's all kinds of judgments, that something is wrong with you. And this is really what I want to talk about in this video, is that if you're a woman and you're over 45 and you're going through these things where you feel like yourself that the ambition is not there, for the things that you used to love, I don't know, the things that you used to go after. There is nothing wrong with you. I think what you're going through is just a normal process of us becoming who we are supposed to be. And so people might judge you as, well, they're just done. They're done with life. They're in midlife crisis. They don't, whatever, like whatever label puts in judgments when people are going through this stage. And it's very different, I think, for men uh, than for women, from what I have seen. But I can only speak for myself and the women that I've talked to, because we see, as women, we have a totally different experience than what men go through in this stage of life. So you are not broken. And this is to you, my friend out there. If you're going through this and you're wondering, what is happening to me? I woke up one day and I have no desire for this corporate ladder. I have no desire even for the business that I've built. I have no desire for whatever else that you were championing and pursuing and being very like, oh, I'm going to go after this. And you just realize that you have no energy, you have no desire for it. It doesn't mean you are broken. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means you are changing, and you're in a place where you have to look at your life and decide what actually matters and how you want to move forward. And this is what we talk about here on this channel, is how do we do these transitions that are happening, the emotions we're going through, the things that we're feeling, the things that experiences we're having as we are getting into the second chapter, or we are in that second chapter and we're facing all these things. So you are not failing. You're not a failure just because you seem to not have the ambition that people expect you to be. You're just tired of living other people's version of you. You're tired of pursuing what everybody says you should pursue. You are tired. And I understand there's also the aspect of, we need to continue living. We need the money. We need whatever for our day-to-day living. So we're not putting that aside. We're just saying we're starting to look inward to see what is happening with us and where we are, and how do we then navigate the relationships we have, the systems around us. How do we go about doing that? So what is happening with you is that you are not giving up, right? You have not given, just because you're in midlife does not mean you're giving up on your life. like people say, right? For us women, we're not giving up. Again, it's just a different version of what it used to be. We are becoming a different version of ourselves, someone new. And so we are not giving up. We are just choosing to stop a lot of times and to reevaluate. We stop chasing the ambitions that we used to go after that are affecting our bodies and our health. And, we stop performing for everyone to make everybody happy. We stop trying to be there for everyone when we're not even there for ourselves. And we stop to pretending that, this ladder that we're climbing in the corporate world or in the business world is worth climbing when we don't feel like it is anymore. And it's okay to admit, to just say, I am choosing rest. I'm choosing a different way of living that is sustainable for me to live the long life, for me to have joy and peace. I am choosing something else. I am choosing a different version of success that I get to define, and not what the world out there, not what other people, not what your family gets to decide for you. And you're choosing to maintain a pace of life that doesn't break you, that doesn't drain the energy out of you. You are choosing yourself. That's really what is happening. Is that just choosing yourself? You're saying no to things that, you just like, they don't matter to me. They're not that important to me. Things that you were doing maybe for other people. You are starting to choose yourself and what you believe is the way that really God wants you to go. And not, not just doing things because we feel like we have to. Because a lot of us, our lives has been survival. They've been doing a lot of things out of obligation, and they are obligations we have. Not, demeaning that. They are obligations, the things that we have to do because There are obligations in life. If you have kids, you have an obligation to raise the kids. So we're not like, don't take anything else. No, we're just in a place where for the first time in decades, we are choosing the things that we want, not what we're supposed to want or what we expected to want or what others even want. We are choosing what our body can handle because at this stage, you have been running your body crazy, as in you've been going and going and going, that you've never paid attention. Most of us have not paid attention to our bodies. And I had not either until, past few years, because I was just going. And you treating your body like it's this machine that never runs out. Even machines have to stop for maintenance, but sometimes we don't even stop for maintenance. I mean, we work out and do whatever, but we are not really paying attention. So we are taking back and reclaiming our lives. And for it to, as we are moving into this mature phase of life where we have the wisdom, we are starting to reclaim part of ourselves that we lay down. We are reclaiming the things that, that we actually want, and less of other people's expectations. And the thing that, no one, which I think this is one of the biggest deal, is that, and a lot of us, we don't talk about this, but we are allowed to change our minds. And so when we talk about ambition, it's like, well, you were ambitious to build this business, to do it this way, to climb this corporate ladder, to do this way. And somehow we are not supposed to change our minds. Like we should just continue doing this. We should just continue loving this because we built it, we did it, we climbed the corporate ladder. We should continue doing it because that's what we've done for the past 20, 30 years. And my friend, you're allowed to change your mind. I'm allowed to change my mind. And this is what women struggle with. A lot of us struggle with this idea that we can change our mind. I can change my mind and say, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. But it is a struggle. And I'm just talking from my own experience when, I decided to walk away from the business that I had and just go a different direction and go into AI and AI consultants and stuff. I think part of me was worried that, I was changing my mind midlife, starting over something new midlife, that is scary enough. But I didn't feel like I had the permission to change my mind because I'd done this thing. I'd been in the construction industry for over 20 years. And I just felt like I didn't have the right to change my mind, that it was not okay for me to change my mind because that changing of my mind would affect a lot of other people. And so we are stuck, a lot of us. Maybe you are in this situation where you feel stuck because you feel like you're not allowed to change your mind. And I'm just here to tell you you are allowed to change your mind and really do what matters to you. And I think that's a right that we all have, but we, as women, we tend not to want to exercise that. And so whatever we're stuck in, we relationships we are stuck in that are no longer okay. Friendships we are stuck in that we're no longer okay. Corporate workplaces that are no longer okay for us. Businesses that are no longer okay. We feel like we cannot leave that. We cannot change our mind and say, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done. Because another thing that happens when we change our mind, then we are not ambitious, right? Then we get those accusation questions. What happened to you? Used to be so ambitious because we've changed our mind. So my ambition didn't die. No, it didn't. It's just transformed. It just transformed into something else. And that is okay. I'm allowed to change my mind. You're allowed to change my mind. And this is the permission that I give to you as a woman who is over 45, is that you have the permission to change your mind. And you have the permission to change your mind as much as you want to. Right? So we are not here to just enjoy life and survive situations. We are here to actually thrive. And we cannot thrive if we're not allowed to change our minds or if we don't allow ourselves to choose differently. So we choose differently with wisdom. We're not being reckless, and choosing different doesn't mean I'm being reckless. Because that's another thing that people's like, well, you're being reckless, you're just doing this, whatever you want, whatever. No, we're doing it from a place of wisdom. And we are choosing different because we're allowed to change our minds about things. And we're allowed to let go of the things we need to let go of so that we can really live the life that is better, that is what God intended for us. So by us releasing things and changing our minds and saying, I'm no longer going to do that. I'm no longer going to do this. I'm no longer going to, pursue this thing just because it's what I've done for 20 years. It's okay. It's okay to change your mind. So where does this leave us, you and I? This ambition thing, because I just from my own experience, I really don't like that question. Or the statement that I've lost ambition. But I do, like I said, I do understand where it's coming from, right? It's coming from people who do care about you and are concerned that maybe you have no more drive or any drive for life. Also, there are people who care about you, who have latched on to you, who are living off of your vision and your goals. So there are all kinds of things that can be attached to your goals and why people feel disappointed in you. But that is not really our problem, because for you and I, we're not here to make others feel comfortable. We are not created to make other people's life live their lives through us. We are not created to hold on to things so that others can feel comfortable, or again, whatever they're taking from us, they can continue taking, so we can't change our minds. So what happens now when people ask you what happened to your drive, or what happened to your ambition? Why are you no longer driven? Why are you no longer going after these goals, or whatever? First and foremost, you really don't have to answer. I think this is that nice thing about being in this stage of life, that you don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't owe anyone. You can just allow them to think what they want to think, because it's not your job to go around there and explain yourself to everybody about why you are the way you are now, why you feel the way you feel, why did you change your mind. It is not our job, and we don't owe them explanation just because they're disappointed, or just because they kept, they wanted us to keep performing for them so they could feel better about themselves, or they wanted us to keep achieving for them so they could have whatever it is that we're getting from our lives. We don't owe anyone an explanation. And because a lot of times you can be caught up in a place where you're trying to explain yourself, trying to justify why you don't have that desire to climb the corporate ladder like you used to, why being with your kids or with your family is now more important to you than chasing after the business or the money or whatever it is. You would spend a lot of time trying to explain something to people that they do not understand. And I think this is, for women who are over 45, I think we tend to understand each other better than us trying to explain to the whole world what is happening with us. Because sometimes you might be one of those. And I remember being in this place where I was transitioning out of owning that business and starting to decide what to do. I was, spending a lot of time learning AI and stuff to start this consultant business. And so I'm in transition, right? So I'm not it doesn't mean I have no ambition. Not that it should matter to anyone if I have ambition or not. I don't even know why it matters, but it apparently does to a lot of people. But you're in transition and you're trying to figure things out yourself, for yourself. You don't even know what is happening to you, because you realize, yes, I do not have ambition for that. I do not want to go after that I used to do. I do not have desire for that anymore. And I can't explain it even to myself. How in the world am I going to explain it to you, to the person who's asking or accusing me or you of not having ambition? Because I don't even know what is happening with me at that time as you're transitioning. I don't even know what I'm going to be doing. I'm caught between this and, that I didn't want. I don't want to be anymore. And something else that I don't even know what that looks like. So how am I to explain to someone what I'm going through? It's hard. It's hard to explain that. It's hard to, and again, you find yourself trying to justify your actions, which is what we've been taught to do a lot of times. We have to explain ourselves. We have to explain why we want this. We have to explain why we don't want that. We have to explain why we are changing our minds. Like, why? Why do we have to explain to anyone? The only person I owe an explanation if I have to is going to be God. He and I can talk about this. But people asking you questions, especially as you are transitioning yourself, is very difficult. And it can make you very defensive because then you want to sound like, I'm still ambitious. No, nothing is like you're trying to explain yourself why nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. And you do not have to explain to anyone. And you're allowed to take the time to figure out what you want to do in the next chapter if you're in transitioning. And if it's nothing, it's also okay. And if you have no desire to do anything, for a while, it is also okay because sometimes your body might just need the rest, right? But if we are constantly trying to answer these questions for people, we put ourselves in situations where we are always defensive. We're always trying to explain our lives away. We're always trying to justify this and that, and you somehow give people power over you. But I'm here to tell you, you don't owe anyone an explanation. If you don't want, you can just say, yeah, I've lost ambition. I don't know what I'm going to do right now. I'm figuring things out. Or you can just say, yeah, if that's what you think, that's okay. Or you can just be quiet because you don't owe them an explanation of why your goals have changed, why your vision has changed, why it seems like you have no ambition. You owe no one that explanation. And I just want you to be grounded in that. And their disappointment is not your responsibility. And don't take that on, right? Because I think at one stage as I was transitioning, I think I kind of took people's disappointments in who I was becoming and kind of personalized that like it was my fault that they were disappointed in me because I changed my mind about what I was doing and what I wanted to do now. That my priorities had changed, my values had changed, and I took that upon myself. And that weighs you down because you are also trying to figure things. You're also trying to figure. So after a while, I realized, no, I'm not responsible for somebody else's disappointment. I'm not responsible for anyone's feelings, really. If someone's feelings are hurt, that is not my responsibility to fix them. That is their own inner work they need to do. I mean, if I make a mistake, if I do something wrong, then I do have to apologize for that. But I'm not responsible for people's disappointments in who they think I should be. You are not responsible for people in your life. You're not responsible for how they feel about what they think you should be or should have been for them. The thing is to make sure that, of course, your relationship with God is right and you're doing things the right way. But you cannot go around trying to micromanage everybody's feeling to make them feel good because you have no interest in that thing that you used to do years ago. Or maybe you did it for 30 years and now you have no interest in it. And they feel like you have to justify why you stop being interested in it. So you can see I'm going off here because I feel like this is what we women have gone through generation after generation, trying to explain ourselves to everybody and trying to justify. And then we end up acting very small. We make ourselves small because I'm not allowed to change my mind. I'm not allowed to do something different. I'm not allowed to rock the boat and change the way things are. I'm not allowed to say no to things that I don't want in my life anymore. And we just have to, take our ground and stand and say, no, I do not owe you an explanation. You can watch me, but I don't need to explain why I changed my mind, why I do not have that ambition for that thing. And I'm also not here to make you feel good about yourself. That is stuff that somebody has to do within themselves. So this is kind of where I would say I want to leave you, is that you have permission to change your mind. You have permission to want something different. You have permission to go after something else And you have permission to not have to answer when people question you with these things about your ambition and who you are. And you are not defined by your ambition. That is also something I want to leave you with. You are not defined by your ambition. We're not defined by our goals because we have different goals for different seasons. Your worthiness, who you are, is not into the goals, the ambition, the visions that you had 20, 30 years ago. You're not worthy because you have this vision. You're not worthy because you've gone after these things. You're not worthy because you've achieved all this. Our worthiness is not in that. God is the only one who gives us worthiness, and it's not in the things that we do. So if you're coming across this question, statement, whatever is phrased like, I just want you to go listen to this again to help you, maybe just like you don't owe them an explanation. And your worth is so much more than goals and vision and ambition. We have so much worth. It's just us being women. And the fact that I exist here on earth, that I was allowed to come here and exist and experience this, means I'm worthy. I don't have to do anything else to be worthy. The fact that God decided I should be here is worth more than anything else that I would ever achieve. So my worth is not in my accomplishments, my goals, my ambition. No. And it's not for you either. So if you're new here, again, my name is Janet, and I would love for you to subscribe and also to join our community. The link is in the description. But I also want you to comment if you have come across this kind of statements, accusations about your ambition. And if you have also come through this phase of life where you felt like you did not have ambition anymore or something was happening, if you have been confused about it, just I would love to hear your thoughts, your opinions about this. I would love for you to comment and let me know where you are. But these are kind of the things that we talk about on this channel. What we women over 45 are feeling about what's happening in our world, in our lives, in our bodies. And I want to create a safe space for us to have these discussions and kind of know and share what is happening with all of us as we're moving into, this second chapter of our lives. So please subscribe, and I'll see you next week. And I do appreciate you sitting through and listening to me talk about these things, and I hope you find them valuable. So please subscribe. See ya.